Imagine a king so consumed by revenge that he gathers an army bigger than any the world had ever seen. This isn't just a story, it's the beginning of one of history's most epic conflicts. We're talking about Xerxes I, the mighty king of Persia. His father, Darius, had suffered a humiliating defeat at the Battle of Marathon, and now the son was ready to finish what his father started. His goal: to crush Greece and bring its proud city-states to their knees. The stage was set for a clash that would echo through eternity. To invade Greece, Xerxes had to move an army of hundreds of thousands, a logistical nightmare for any era. His solution was as audacious as his ambition. At the Hellespont, the narrow strait separating Asia from Europe, he commanded his engineers to build two massive pontoon bridges. They lashed hundreds of ships together, side by side, creating a floating highway for his forces. For 7 days and 7 nights, the ground trembled as the Persian army marched across soldiers from every corner of the vast empire. Medes, Scythians, Egyptians, and countless others. A true river of humanity flowing into Europe. Alongside them, a fleet of over 1,000 warships sailed, a floating forest of masts and sails ready to dominate the seas. It was a spectacle of power designed to awe and intimidate, a clear message to the Greeks. Resistance is futile. By King Greece, news of the approaching storm sent waves of panic through the city-states. These were not a unified people. They were a collection of fierce rivals, often at war with one another. Athens, with its powerful navy and democratic ideals, and Sparta, the militaristic society that bred the world's most feared warriors, were chief among them. Yet, faced with a common existential threat, they did the unthinkable. They united. At a congress in Corinth, they formed the Hellenic League, a desperate alliance to defend their homes, their freedom, and their very way of life. It was a coalition of the willing, a handful of city-states standing against the mightiest empire on earth. They knew the odds were stacked against them, but they were determined to fight for every inch of their homeland. The first major confrontation came at a narrow coastal pass called Thermopylae. This was the Hut Gates, a strategic choke point where a small force could potentially hold off a much larger one. Here, the Spartan king Leonidas, with just 300 of his elite royal guards and a few thousand other Greek allies, made his stand. For 3 days, this small band of heroes held the pass against wave after wave of Persian assaults. The disciplined Spartan phalanx was an unbreakable wall of bronze and courage, repelling even Xerxes' elite guard, the Immortals. The sight of his best troops being cut down in the narrow pass reportedly made Xerxes leap from his throne in fury 3 times. The Greeks fought with a ferocity born of desperation and a love for their freedom. However, their valiant stand was doomed by betrayal. A local man named Ephialtes, hoping for a reward, showed the Persians a hidden mountain path that would allow them to bypass the Greek position and attack them from the rear. When Leonidas learned he was surrounded, he made a fateful decision. He dismissed the bulk of the Greek army, ordering them to retreat and prepare for future battles. He, his 300 Spartans, and a few hundred Thespians and Thebans who chose to stay, remained behind. They fought to the last man, a willing sacrifice to buy the rest of Greece precious time. Their stand at Thermopylae became a symbol of courage against overwhelming odds, a legend that has inspired generations. While the army was being delayed at Thermopylae, the Greek navy, led by the brilliant Athenian strategist Themistocles, was engaged in its own desperate struggle at sea. In the Straits of Artemisium, they fought the larger Persian fleet to a standstill, but the news of the fall of Thermopylae forced them to retreat south. The path to Athens was now open. Xerxes' army marched on the city, burning it to the ground. For the Athenians who had evacuated to the nearby island of Salamis, watching their homes and sacred temples go up in flames was a heartbreaking sight. It seemed as though all was lost, but Themistocles had a plan, a high-stakes gamble that would decide the fate of the war. He knew the Persian fleet was superior in open water. So, he devised a trap. He sent a fake message to Xerxes, pretending to be a traitor, claiming the Greek fleet was demoralized and planning to flee during the night. He urged Xerxes to block the narrow straits of Salamis and crush them once and for all. Xerxes, arrogant and overconfident after his recent victories, fell for the bait. he ordered his massive fleet into the confined waters, eager to witness the final destruction of the Greek navy from his golden throne set up on the shoreline. This was exactly what Themistocles had hoped for. In the narrow straits, the sheer number of Persian ships became their greatest weakness. They couldn't maneuver, they became disorganized, and they collided with each other. The smaller, more agile Greek triremes, powered by determined free men fighting for their families just across the water, darted in and out of the chaos. They rammed the heavier Persian vessels, their bronze prows punching through holes. Greek marines boarded enemy ships, and brutal hand-to-hand combat erupted across the decks. The sea turned red. What was supposed to be a decisive victory for Persia turned into a catastrophic slaughter. The Greek navy, against all odds, had annihilated the heart of Xerxes' fleet. The defeat at Salamis was a devastating blow for Xerxes. His naval superiority was shattered, and without his fleet to supply his massive army, he couldn't sustain a long campaign in Greece. Fearing that the Greeks might sail to the Hellespont and destroy his bridges, trapping him in Europe, he made a swift decision. He took the bulk of his army and retreated back to Asia, leaving behind a smaller force under his general, Mardonius, to try and complete the conquest the following year. But the momentum had shifted. The following spring, at the Battle of Plataea, the united Greek army, led by the Spartans, decisively crushed Mardonius's remaining forces. On the very same day, the remnants of the Persian fleet were destroyed by the Greek navy at the Battle of The invasion was over. The Persian retreat marked the end of an era. The Greeks had achieved the impossible. A small collection of city-states had defended their independence against the greatest empire of their time. This victory was more than just a military success. It was a victory for an idea. It preserved the unique culture of ancient Greece, its philosophy, its democracy, its art, and its science, allowing it to flourish and lay the foundations for what we now call Western civilization. The courage of Leonidas, the cunning of Themistocles, and the sacrifice of thousands of ordinary Greeks ensured that their world would not be swallowed by empire, but would instead go on to shape the future of our own. Their story reminds us that sometimes the course of history can be turned by the courage and determination of a few who refuse to bow to tyranny. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into ancient history as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you in the next video.